Welcome back, everyone. What podcast is this again?
This is the Fika Brunch Business podcast. Oh.
I'm your host.
Go on, tell them.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm
concerned with being the first one.
Yeah, sorry. I just beat you to it, and then I fell over at the first hurdle. I'm your host, Evo, and this is my co-host,
Tia.
And welcome back. We've got a lovely episode in store for you again today.
We have not in stock, as we keep saying.
Not in stock.
Not in stock.
It's in store.
And I think we should also do a little update because we've not done one of those in a while.
Should we?
Yeah.
All right. What do you want to update the viewers on?
Well, I can't remember what our last update was, but let's just do the last month. What's been going on in your life in the last month?
Let's do it.
Tell us.
I've been in London.
Yeah. You're kind of now permanently
More
a
or less
fixture in London.
a permanent fixture in London. People of London are permanently blessed with my presence.
Yeah. And people of Stamford and Rutland are permanently blessed to not have to see him much anymore.
Right. I'm walking out my own podcast.
I'm walking away.
Do you want to carry on with that? No? Go for it.
From struggles in my life. That's such a banger. I'm going to play that in the car on the way home.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I'm not listening to that song in a long time.
That's such a good song.
Yeah. If you want any private events where Tia comes and sings songs such as the one she just sang to you.
What did I just sing in the test audio?
We
Only
sang,
know you love her when you let her go.
We did. We sang
a different vibe.
Sang a bit of Baby Keem.
Yeah.
Just all sorts. Yeah, she's got a lot of talents up her sleeve. She's got a lot of songs that she knows front
My
to back.
repertoire is quite wide.
It's quite wide.
Yeah, you know what they say.
Let her know if you need a singer at your party, wedding,
Very happy to
whatever
do it.
other events you guys do.
Especially if you never want anyone to come to any of your parties ever again. Hire me.
Get her involved. Anyway, my life. I'm a permanent fixture in London. Everyone always asks me, how's London going? I'm going to answer this once and for all. It's going well in some respects, but things are moving very slowly. So I usually come back every week. If you're expecting an update every week, it's probably going to be the same as last week. But at the same time, I appreciate everyone asking and taking an interest.
Yeah. Nice.
I think there'll be a lot more to say in the months to come.
Yeah.
But for the moment, it's kind of laying the groundwork, planting the seeds. It's kind of a boring process.
Yeah. But we also knew that would be partly the case and that's why we decided that you should move first and then I should follow on once the wheels are set in motion and things start moving along a bit, because there was no point of both of us being there planting seeds and kicking your feet up like you do every day.
Exactly.
No, but like you say, it's a slow process, and we knew it wasn't going to be. It's quite a hard market to infiltrate, I think, and it's hard to find the right space and exactly the right thing that we want to do. And
it's hard to. It's almost like starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And you have to build up a level of momentum. I feel like we had a level of momentum here, and then it doesn't quite carry across.
Yeah, and also. Should we touch on this? Because we essentially are starting from scratch. We're using a formula, the basic nucleus of a formula that we've used before.
The basic nucleus of a formula. I like it. Einstein would be proud.
You're welcome. But we are probably not carrying on with Fika down there. Bombshell.
Yeah.
I think that's a big point to mention.
Yeah, let's talk about why that is. I mean, obviously we've got our topics of discussion for today, but let's.
But we're doing an update.
Let's talk about the mechanics of building a brand.
Are you just trying to outword me now?
Yeah. E equals MC squared.
EBITDA.
Do you know what that means?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization.
You did business at school, didn't you?
Yeah, but we didn't learn EBITDA.
Did you not?
No, we learned
what did they teach you?
Profit, loss, cash flow,
nice.
SWOT analysis.
Pretty advanced level stuff. We've done plenty of SWOT analyses in our life at Fika.
Have we?
No.
Not a single SWOT analysis
a single one.
has been done.
It's one of those things that consultants use. Charge you a lot of money.
Yeah.
No hate to any consultants out there, but you don't do anything.
That's it, how it is.
I'm joking. I'll have no friends after this podcast.
You don't have any anyways.
Yes, I'll have no friends after this podcast.
It's still factual. What was the question?
I don't know, we got sidetracked.
Why we're doing...
What are the mechanics of building a brand? That's something a consultant would say.
Yes.
Very perplexing.
The mechanics of building a brand. Okay.
Do you know why I say that? Okay.
Go on.
The reason I ask that is the fans might be asking themselves, you've got Fika. Fika's a great name. It's a great brand.
Yeah.
People know what it is. Why not
change
take
it?
that and run with it in London?
And a lot of people have asked us that.
They have.
And we have ummed and ahed and gone backwards and forwards, and we might still change our mind. I think that's worth saying, because
We do change our minds a lot.
we do change our minds a lot, but I also don't think that's a bad thing, because I used to think, we're quite fickle, and we're actually not. I mean, the nucleus of what we do has always stayed the same. But I think it's good to like adapt, and I think it shows that you listen to what other people say and other people's opinions of your brand, and can take them in and then filter through it. Which it's easy to sit and say like, don't listen to what anyone else says. But at the end of the day, if you're building a brand, you need customers and loyalty and people to support you and fuck with you. And if you're not listening to what anyone says, then you're not going to build that.
That's right.
So
you need to adapt and change and take inputs along the way.
Yeah, and filter through what is important and relevant and what isn't.
Yeah.
So the mechanics of building a brand. I don't know, just build it, see what happens.
Which is basically what we've done.
I think we understand the basics of a brand and a strong brand.
But why does I specifically asked that to answer the question, why are we not carrying on with Fika?
Yes.
What does a good brand need in order to flourish?
So I think the reason we're not carrying on with Fika potentially is because Fika has a certain feel and a vibe and an atmosphere and association with the brand that is great and works here in this area. But I think it's not what we strive for. It's not the feel that we strive for in London. I think we want to go down a slightly different route. I think we also inherited part of what Fika is about. Not fully. I think we've done quite a successful job in making it our own. But we did. The word is for anyone who doesn't know out there, it's a Swedish word, and it has a meaning behind it.
What's the meaning?
So the meaning is, it's a bit more than this, but it's the basic definition is like to sit and have coffee and cake and enjoy some time out with friends, family, alone,
Nice.
whatever.
I like it.
But it's a bit more of a cultural thing in Sweden. It's a lot more like, they would never say let's go for a coffee. They'd say let's go for a fika break, or like let's go fika kind of thing. And that's great, and love the whole concept of that. But I think it will always tie us to that culture in a way.
There's always going to be a Swedish connotation. Even if let's say 90% of people who come into Fika don't know what Fika, the word, means.
Yes.
There's always going to be some people that come in that associate that with something Swedish.
Exactly. So we kind of feel like, also, I think we feel like we're ready to do something new.
Yeah.
Take on a new challenge and see whether we can do it again.
Yeah.
And not just do like stamp copies and cutouts of what we've already done before.
Yeah, because we never want it to feel like a chain.
No.
And the more of one thing that you do, the more it starts to feel that way.
Exactly.
And the point I was going to make as well is there's also other fikas that exist out there, because it is a Swedish word that has a meaning for it, and it is related to coffee.
Yeah.
There's lots of coffee shops which are called fika throughout the UK, and probably some people sometimes come in and ask me, and like, did you open a fika in Liverpool? No, it's just fika means something. So the other thing that's really important for a brand is for it to be unique. So this next brand that we come up with, we want it to be something that is unique and that
stands out and
recognizable by itself, and people immediately tie the word with what we do.
Yeah, agreed.
That's the mechanics of building a brand.
That's
everything we've been thinking about.
Yeah.
In terms of building a brand.
Yeah.
And in terms of going forward in London.
Yeah. Any other updates?
Where did we get to? So we talked about my life in London.
Yeah.
What about your life here?
My life here is not that crazy. Just, yeah. I am very much enjoying my work, as I always do. It's nice watching us grow and expand, because we're still growing and expanding in terms of like the team, and I feel like we've just had a cohort of people who are now going to uni, and it's kind of like we're starting that cycle again, which is quite nice. I think we've got a really solid team at the moment, which is really nice. Everyone's got good relationships and working relationships, and like, yeah, I get some days where I think I feel like I see the manifestation of our hard work as just kind of like, it's quite easy to take for granted and to just see it and be in it and not appreciate it. But yeah, some days I'm like, wow, this is great content.
You have some reflective moments.
Yeah.
Nice.
Other than that, not a lot to report really. We're both training for High Rocks. If you're not following the Fika Brunch and Business Instagram channel, you won't know this. And if you're not following the Fika Brunch and Business channel, what are you doing? But yeah, we're both training for High Rocks, which is a big undertaking. So that's taking up a fair bit of my time, and yeah, that's it. Not a lot else to report.
Nice. Right, I think that's a good little update. I think that gives us time to move on to the
big update. I've just remembered something. The bakery.
I was just, as you had that reaction, I was just about to say you didn't say anything.
The bakery.
Correct.
So the bakery is pretty much finished. It's ready to be.
Have you seen it in its finished?
I actually haven't. I haven't had time to go over, but we're gonna see it tomorrow. So it's either finished or it's like pretty much finished. I think they've just finished putting all the flooring in, all the painting's done. Exciting. Yeah. So we're going to have a bakery within a month to 2 months. We're going to be a fully kitted out bakery up at Woolfox, which is mad.
Please come and visit.
Yeah, crazy. But we'll do a big update about that on Instagram and across all the channels. But
and also, if you've got any particular baked goods that you would like to see, let us know.
Let us know. Drop us a DM.
And we'll tell you if they're cool or not cool.
And if we say not cool, please don't be offended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bakery.
Nice.
Exciting times.
Very exciting. Excited to be trialing things all day, every day.
Yeah. It also kind of feels like everything is happening together at once at the same time, because you've got bakery, which is now pretty much ready, and there's going to be stuff going on there, and then we've got the London stuff that's
starting to gain a little bit of
traction, momentum.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your other London project at all, or?
I would, but again, I've not got any updates on that. So yeah, I'll talk about it in a future podcast.
Okay.
When I've got a lot to say about it.
Nice. Let's crack on. With our podcast topic. So today we're going to talk about the struggles that we're facing as a business at the moment. We always appreciate, I think, a level of transparency from other places, but not in a way of like, we're so transparent. More in a like, there's shit going on. Yeah. Every day, there's shit you need to think about, and there's stuff going on that's out of our control as well, and how we navigate that.
And I think as well, like, people see the lifestyle that we live. They see me driving around in my Ferrari.
Fiat 500.
And Ferrari. And they
with
think,
your AP, you've not got it on today.
I've not got the AP on today.
AP Casio.
No, it's getting traded in for a Patek anytime now.
I do think anyone who doesn't get our humour probably thinks we are massive dickheads. So we should just clarify. Evo doesn't actually drive a Ferrari.
I do.
He drives a Fiat 500.
Please stop lying to the fans.
And he doesn't actually own an AP watch. He owns a Casio.
Right, I'm actually leaving. If you're just going to lie to them this whole time, I'm actually just going to walk out.
It's not just been a very good financial year for Fika.
Anyway, so they see all the glitz and the glamour and the lifestyle.
And me scrapping with the bins, taking stuff to the tip.
But there's stuff behind the scenes that you don't see. You know, behind all the glitz and the glamour, there's there's real challenges in growing the business.
There is.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, about some of the challenges we face in trying to operate and grow our business. And we've got a few things that we want to talk about.
I think the first one is very much your domain, so I think you should.
This is very relevant currently. So one of the things that we're finding a challenge at the minute is finance. So by which I mean we as a business are doing well. I think it's hard for me to say whether we're doing well or not because I've never had a cafe business before. I don't know what to compare it to. I haven't seen. It would be quite nice to actually have someone look at like what we're doing as a business financially and be like, you're doing good or not, because I feel like we're doing okay, but I don't know. I don't have any.
But also that someone would have to be in the industry, because it's not comparable to someone who's running like a retail business, like a clothes business.
I'd love for someone,
the same.
From hospitality to be like, I have seen lots of hospitality businesses, and you guys are doing.
But I think you know enough. You know enough, and you look around enough, and you absorb enough information that is readily available to you to know. Like, if it was shocking, you would know.
Yeah, if it was shocking, we probably wouldn't be in business.
No, exactly. I think to say we're doing well is a fair statement. Yeah. I think we could be doing better. Yeah. But I think we could always be doing better.
Yeah. That's right. We're also not a business that will try and strip out costs everywhere. That's not. If we start doing that, then it becomes a bit of a race.
I was going to say that's really good. It's not a modus operandi.
We're not serial killers.
Me and Eva on the next podcast, we're going to come up with a list of words each. And we have to fit into the podcast and see who gets the most.
I'm going to read a dictionary back to back. Anyway, so talking about finances, I think we're doing well. I think potentially, I don't know, if I pictured myself 4 years ago running 3 cafes, I would have thought we would be doing financially better than we are. I don't know if you think the same thing.
Do you mean on a personal level, though?
On a personal level, yeah. I would have thought 3 cafes, we're talking Ferraris, Lamborghinis, APs, Pateks. You know, I've got the individual ones, but I thought I'd have more.
It's a good thing that you're so down to earth, Evo.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I think I only say this to be like, because people probably walk past, they see Fika's busy, they're doing well. Yeah. It's not like, I don't think it's as crazy as what people would expect.
No, I also think the margins that we operate on are a lot smaller than people realise. Because like you say, a lot of people often will be like, you're so busy all the time, you must be making so much money. And I'm like, yeah, we are, but our costs are also enormous. Yeah. So like, great that we're making loads of money, but it's not like that money just goes into our pockets. Like the costs of making that money are huge for our business.
Cafes are one of the lowest margin businesses that you can have, and I think from what I know, if you're operating a cafe between 5 and 10% profit margin, you're doing a fairly good job of it. Which is mad, and I think that kind of leads us into our into what I really want to talk about when it comes to the finance side. So we want to grow. We have plenty of ideas of how we want to grow. And I would say probably the finances are one of the biggest constraints that we have at the moment, because we might be making lots of revenue, but in terms of what's left over for that, it's a very slow growing pot, and our ideas grow quicker than the money in that pot allows us to realise those ideas. So with that comes a necessity to potentially get finance from other sources, and what I've been looking at over the past few weeks, months, is where we could potentially get funding to fund our ideas, and I've been finding that it's not as easy to get funding.
I was going to make this point. I feel like there's almost an element of, from both our sides, I think we both feel like we've been lied to a little bit. Because everyone said when you get to a certain point, when you've been trading for this many years and your revenue is X, and banks are just going to throw money at you. Turns out,
to be fair, I think
not the case.
I think I said that.
No, you didn't. I can remember so clearly. There's someone who stands out in my mind who said it, but I know that this conversation was had with more than like a few parties. And we've got to that point now. Where is it?
Where is it?
Where are the banks? Why are they not knocking?
Where's
knocking. We are
the
there
money?
with a battering ram on their door.
Show me the money.
And they are not opening.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, we've been trading 3 years now.
Yeah.
That's,
Plus.
you know, as you said, 3 years is like the benchmark that most people would, most kind of, you can always get money from somewhere, but whether it's going to be a good deal
But
or
at 3
not
years, it's like, I compare it to when you pass your driving test at 17, and then when you get to 21, your insurance drops a lot. It's like that kind of benchmark.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
think.
That's a good comparison.
I know.
Nice.
I'm on
I like
fire.
The comparisons. So yeah, so in short, I've been looking around, chasing around applications, this and that. Occasionally someone comes back to me and says, yeah, we'll give you this money, you'll have to pay it back in a year, and it's 40% interest rate.
And we'll take your firstborn child.
And also you have to sell the company to us. So you also have to give back all the money.
Yeah.
And at that point I go, no, thank you very much. I will
tempting
look elsewhere.
offer, but no.
I will do something else instead. But yeah, so we're kind of like going around this process in a minute, trying to find someone that will give us money to fund our ideas. There's also 2 ways to get money. One is to give up a percentage of your company. One is to debt. So like you're given money, you have to pay it back with an interest rate. We're not interested in giving away any part of our company at the minute. We kind
it's
of like
mine.
Get hands off
Just
it.
mine.
But yeah, so I would say that's challenge number 1, trying to.
That's probably our
finance
biggest
all
challenge
this.
and frustration at the moment.
Yeah.
I think that also ties into something I think we've spoken about before on the podcast, which is they say that your first X amount of money is the hardest to make, and then it gets easier past that. And I do think that's true, because I think there is a threshold to when people are then like, okay, you're serious, you know what you're doing, let us throw some money at you. Don't know, we'll find out.
Not reached that threshold yet.
No, I don't think so.
Do you know what I think the problem is?
Go on.
So again, with our business, we've grown in terms of revenue probably about 5 times compared to what it was when we started in 3 years, which is kind of like an insane number if you think about it. But because we've been investing all that money in growing it, when you look at the financial spreadsheets and the profit and losses, the profit bit is very small because all of that's been invested into growing the company. And I think a lot of lenders will look at those statements and think, where the profit at? But not look at like
what we've done with that money.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the and you can't, a lot of these places will almost solely look at that. Not everyone, but most will almost solely look at that. I'm trying. It's late in the day.
I was like, what are you trying to say? Can I help you?
Most lenders will only look at that. Not all of them, but most.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be like, no, but actually let me explain. Let me explain why this looks the way it is.
And because they don't really care about your personality and your ideas, they just care about the money.
Plugged it into the computer. The computer says no.
And that's it.
40% interest rate, firstborn child.
That's
the deal we can do in a minute. But yeah, we're working on it, making some progress on it.
Yeah.
We'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
On that part.
Okay. One of the challenges I feel like I'm facing probably more currently, because this is more my domain and what I'm heading up, is staffing and people management. I think from a front of house perspective, it's great. There's a lot of talent out there. The team, like I said before, the team that we have currently is really good. No issues with that, and with the kitchen team that we currently have as well. They're great. But Where are the chefs at?
Where the
they
chefs
at?
at?
There is,
It's tough.
and we're not the only restaurant, cafe, bar and grill struggling with that.
There's no reason why that should be funny. Just in case you're thinking you missed something. Inside joke.
Yeah, there's no reason why. No, what? I don't know what I'm saying. We are not the only ones struggling with that.
Fika Bar and Grill.
It's so
Right,
funny.
let's not get distracted. We don't have time to explain why that's funny.
Yeah, there is just not a lot of chefing talent around at the moment. Or there
Yeah.
is, but they don't want to be tied down to
Yeah.
one place. And I think a lot of them over COVID did like temp cover and relief chefing, and that pays a lot better than most restaurants and cafes and bar and grills can afford to pay. Right, I'll stop now, guys. Yeah, I think
But it's interesting because the cafes and the bar and grills.
we need to.
Obviously, no reason.
Okay, stop. Stop, because if we carry on, we're actually going to have
We might have to pause this podcast, take 20 minutes off, and then come back.
to recover.
Recompose ourselves. No, we're good. We're good. But it's funny because I've tried my best.
Okay,
I've tried
no,
my
it's
best.
fine.
This is what happens.
I'm fine.
You good?
Yeah.
Good to carry on.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just won't say that word anymore. So there's a reason. I'm just going to talk while you sort yourself out.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you say they end up getting paid a lot more than what a lot of cafes and restaurants can afford, because it is the cafes and restaurants that are paying that money one way or the other.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get a napkin on this.
All right, we'll just sit and chat amongst ourselves while Tia sorts herself out. Yeah, in summary, there's no chefs about. It's very difficult to find a chef. I think it's also been a long time coming. The chefing industry, I'd say, for a long time has been quite tough and not
Turbulent.
something that seems like a good deal for,
Yeah.
for the lifestyle that you
Yeah.
live. So, you know, in a lot of these places, when you start off as a chef, you're getting paid pennies. You're
Yeah.
working 16 hours a
Yeah.
day shifts, night shifts. You don't really have a life outside
Yeah.
of that. And I think a lot of people, especially over COVID, have looked at that and thought, actually, I could make an equal amount of money, work half the hours,
Yeah.
not have any of the stress.
And actually have a life.
And actually
I think
have a
that's
life.
that is exactly what did it, COVID, because I think
Yeah.
people, obviously all of hospitality shut down, and all of a sudden chefs who had been working like 65 plus hours a week at pubs every Friday, every Saturday, every Sunday, like day in, day out, had time at home with their families, and they were like, this is weird.
Quite like these people.
Yeah, what's going on here? And then when everything went back to normal, I think people struggled, and a lot of chefs struggled with that like readjustment. And I
Yeah.
think there's probably an element of when you're running at that level and that pace for so long, you get used to it, your body adjusts to it, and then you stop, and then going back to that,
Gather momentum again.
yeah, is so difficult. So I think the industry lost a lot of chefs then, either to other industries, or a lot of chefs started their own thing. I think something that was more on their terms, like food trucks, food vans, and then a lot of them have gone into relief and temp chefing, which pays better, and they can choose what, when, and how they work, and they can choose to work, say, like 2 months in a row, but then have 2 weeks off, and they don't need to worry about holiday and requesting holiday and all of that. kind of balls in their court.
It's kind of a shame as well, because I can see a lot of hospitality places, and if you as the customers are sitting behind the camera and thinking, yeah, I think places used to be, or there used to be a lot more good places, and a lot of places have fallen off since COVID. I think that definitely is a thing, and I've definitely noticed it when I've been out to eat. Say places that I used to go before, now I just wouldn't even frequent them anymore, just because you go in and you're like, this is not worth it. I can tell this is microwaved.
Yeah.
I can tell they bought this from Tesco.
Yeah.
But and there's no option. You either close, or you find a way to do it with someone that's not a chef.
Yeah. And we were saying, I also think part of the problem is that I don't think being a chef is seen in the same way as it used to be.
Yeah.
I think it used to be like a craft, a skill, an art. Like to be a chef at a good level used to be really like admirable, and people used to really look up to that. And we still do.
You don't think they look up to it as much?
Not everyone. I think maybe it's because it was tainted by some people.
Yeah.
But I think being a chef now is seen as, and not just by other people looking in, but also by chefs themselves, is seen as like what's the word I'm looking for? Like almost a demeaning job.
Yeah.
And a bit of a like, you're just like a kitchen bitch, which is
probably in a lot of places that's true.
Yeah.
Because if you had a bad owner that was just trying to maximise profits, didn't really care about their kitchen team, treated people badly, worked people long hours, there's probably a reason for that reputation.
Yeah.
There's probably a handful.
Yeah, exactly. I do think it was tainted by something, and then I think it's struggling now. But I think it will come full circle. I don't know if it will be anytime soon, but I do think that there's now like a bit of a resurgence in the art of chefing and creating food, and I think like there's a lot of places in London that are quite exciting again and have really passionate chefs behind them. I think that's the thing, that you have to, I guess it's like being an artist. Like you don't do it because you think you're going to make millions, but you might make millions off it if you become to that level and that standard. But you start doing it for the passion and the creativity, and because you have something to portray with that. Yeah. And I think chefs that have that are very rare nowadays. Yeah. But I think the ones that do have it, you can tell immediately.
It's kind of, I think it's kind of a shame as well, because I think it's quite a cool job, and I think it's quite an exciting job.
Yeah.
And potentially even, I mean, I know this is very difficult for you to imagine, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think in a different life I could have been a chef.
Don't send me off again.
Yeah, not so much for the creativity side and the kind of ingredients and putting things together, but I like the idea of working in a fast-paced environment like that. I think it could be very like, I would very much struggle to work in an office, for example.
Yeah.
But in a kitchen where there's lots of stuff going on, there's lots of stuff that you have to think about at the same time. I was watching on YouTube the other day, there's a chef, I think there's a few videos like this, he put a GoPro somewhere on his lapel or something. I don't know exactly what he did. And he filmed a service of, I think, in a busy lunch service on a Saturday or something, for like half an hour, an hour. And it's actually so fun to watch. I think the video had like 4 million views. So it shows that like that kind of thing is interesting to people. And I think it's kind of, it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Hopefully it comes full circle and it changes.
If you're a chef out there looking for a job that isn't 65 hours a week, that isn't a bit plates being thrown at you from across the kitchen, sociable hours, come talk to us.
It's a good hiring strategy. Okay. I also want to talk about, I think I touched on this a little bit, but people management as a team. And I say that not because we have problems with our team, because I actually think, especially when we always say this, like when we look at other restaurants and other establishments, the issues that they have within their teams and their culture is just, it makes us very grateful and very appreciative of what we have and what we don't have to deal with.
Yeah.
But I mean it more on like a scale, because I think we now have 53 members of staff.
Is that how much we have?
Yeah. Mad.
53.
53
Wild.
members of staff.
Let's list them all. 53. Well, I thought
crazy.
People keep asking me how many, and I'm like 40.
Yeah, well, I think 53 is everyone, not maybe even people who like have gone off to uni and stuff like that now.
Right,
so not 53 active members of staff here day in, day out.
Yeah.
So I think day in, day out, week in, week out would probably be about like 40.
Yeah.
And at that number of people, if you think about getting 40 people in a room, it's quite a lot of people. Managing the everyone's like relationships and dynamics at work, and everyone has their own stuff going on as well. Like it's not like you just come to work and your brain switches off. Like everyone has their own stuff going on. So basically, like I don't mean keeping tabs on people as in micromanaging, but basically knowing what's going on with everyone and knowing that everyone's all right, and dealing with anyone who's not all right, and dealing with any situations that's not all right. It's a lot easier with 10 people than it is with 40.
Yeah.
And it feels like with 40 people, if there's 5 problems, it feels like it has a much bigger domino effect than, again, maybe it sounds like a weird thing to say, but with 5 people in a 10-person team, I think that's easier to deal with.
Well, I think because
I think it's like it's a close-knit team. Yeah. Everyone knows each other very well. It's a lot more personal.
Yeah.
Whereas with this many people, a lot of our team haven't even met people from the other cafes and stuff.
Yeah.
Especially like the new starters. So yeah, I think that's a good point to make. It's not like it's just something that comes with growth, I think.
It does.
And
I think it's a very good point, because the way I see it, there's almost 2 layers of stuff that goes on. Let's say there's the formal layer of, this is your job description, you come in, you make coffee this way. That's like the formal layer of stuff. And then there's almost a hidden, unseen, but you can feel it kind of layer of stuff that goes on, and that's all the dynamics that go on behind the scenes. And I think a lot of what you're talking about is the dynamics, isn't it? Because someone might on paper be doing their job very well and like be doing everything to a T, but the stuff that's hard to put on paper, there's something going wrong there, or someone has a problem, or this person has a problem with that person, and I think that is a challenge to deal with, especially as and the more you grow, I think the more difficult it becomes knowing what level to get involved.
Yes. Agreed. And I think that's what distinguishes like a good leader and a bad leader and a great leader is I think a bad leader, it just looks at the formal part and kind of ignores the rest.
Boxes.
Good leader, I think, can see both sides, and I think a great leader can see the whole picture and knows when to get involved. I think that's a good point. You made a few good points on this earlier, so do you want to share them with the fans?
Can't remember what points I made.
we were saying, like knowing when to get involved, because it's maybe more so for someone like me. Like I'm a bit of an empath. I want everyone to be all right.
I was going to say emperor.
I'm a dictator.
I'm a bit of an emperor.
I'm a bit of an empath. I want everyone to be all right. Everyone to be happy all the time. Everyone to love everyone they work with and everything like that.
It's never going to happen,
It's never going to happen, and I've had to learn to like not micromanage people and not micromanage situations. And knowing when, but also then you don't want to go too far the other way, where you come across like you don't care about anyone and like you don't care about what's going on and just leave them to fight it out kind of thing. This is also, we should say, not based on like anything that's happening at the moment. This is
our entire 3 years worth of experience consolidated, and more than 3 years, because we were doing this before, consolidated into a little snippet.
So knowing when to step in and how to step in as well, because again, this comes with like
it might
reading
not even
people.
be your prerogative.
No. Stop it.
Did I use that?
But also knowing how to deal with different situations and different people, because you might have the exact same situation, say, arise that you've had 2 years ago, but with a different person, and you can't deal with them in the same way, because some people
respond to it differently.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
it's tough stuff out here.
It's tough stuff out there. I think we're also not at opposite ends of the scale, but we, as you said, you're much more the empath, want everything to go all right, much more. I think that side probably affects you more than it does me. Not that it doesn't affect me. I think I'm more aware of everything that's going on than people think or realise. But my policy on that is I don't get involved until stuff is really hitting the fan, and then I get involved decisively.
Yeah, I think you wait until a problem has happened to deal with it, whereas I try and deal with problems before they happen.
Even sometimes when it's happened, I won't deal with it. Yeah. I only deal with it when I'm like, okay, now this is a big problem. Now it's got out of hand, and we're gonna nip it in the bud.
And I don't think either way is wrong or right either. I think with my way, you have the trouble that you can't predict every problem and foresee every problem and deal with every problem. And you might be trying
to deal with a problem that isn't going to become a problem.
Exactly, and then make it a problem.
Yeah.
And then your way is that maybe the con of that is that stuff might go too far and it might have a bigger damaging effect than if you had dealt with it when it was a smaller problem. But I think, learning when to step in and how to step in is a big part of it, and a big part of learning how to lead a bigger team.
Yeah, that's right. And I would say, even though I leave things until later, to me, when we were talking about the two layers of things, the formal and the informal, the dynamic, I would actually always prioritize the dynamic rather than the formal. So even if someone's doing a great job on paper, if they're not playing nicely with all the other boys and girls, they're gonna have to bounce.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think that's what creates your culture
and brand.
And if you don't, if someone gets away with something, sooner or later, everyone else is gonna start to behave in that way, knowing that they can get away with it as long as they're good on paper.
Yeah.
But I think overall that probably isn't good for your future.
Yeah, agreed. Anything else you want to raise?
No, I think that covers that topic quite nicely.
Yeah. I think that's a good summary of our main struggles that we're facing at the moment.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about any more of?
There is one that I think I worry a bit more about than you do, but also I don't lose any sleep over it, but it's kind of something that's always in the back of my mind, especially currently.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that the economic climate of this country is not great.
Oh, we're getting into politics.
No, we're not going to get into politics.
No, we're not.
But it feels like there's a lot of anger and resentment from everyone, like towards everyone feels hard done by, and they kind of are. Like everyone is a little bit hard done by. We all pay loads of taxes. The weather's been shit.
I feel really hard done by. I would have liked to go swimming this summer. But
we all pay loads of taxes. The weather's been shit. The NHS is just a whole. It's mad. What's going on there? The train. Everyone is striking all the time.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, everyone's just angry at everyone else.
Probably rightfully so.
Rightfully so. But I think most people can agree that at some point something has to change. I don't think we can carry on as we're going currently. I don't know what that something is. I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah.
But I think we can all agree that something has to change at some point soon. Or... I mean, it's just it's mad.
It's mad. It's a madness.
It is an absolute madness.
Do you know what? I'm going to try very hard, because if I get started down this topic, you won't stop me.
You'll get cancelled.
No, I won't get cancelled, because I'm actually not that controversial figure, despite what many people might think. But it is a topic that I look at and research and do a lot of thinking about. It is at the forefront of my mind a lot of the time, and I have so many thoughts and opinions on things that are going on. But yeah, if we'd be here for a long time. If I were to just start now, we're talking about at least 4 to 6 hours of monologue from me.
Podcasting.
Yeah.
Take on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, well, get him in. Fly him in, Joe.
We'll have to. We've conflicting
schedules
with him and Stephen. I think it's not going to work.
Yeah, no, we're just going to have to pick one, aren't we? Tough choice. I think it's. I definitely can agree that the UK is probably facing some very tough challenges, and I think part of the despair that people have is that there's no one proposing an inspiring solution to any of those challenges. We can go down the rabbit hole of like what the actual challenges are. There's tons of them, but there's no one, at least not one that I can see, that can put together a real vision for what needs to be done and how we kind of get ourselves out of what's going on.
And I think
but I think that's probably universal. I think that's not just a UK problem. I think a lot of countries, I can't see someone that's like, wow, that is an inspiring figure that really has a good idea of how to deal with these 21st century problems that we're having.
And I think as a business, that just creates a lot of unpredictability for us and a lot of uncertainty around the future. Because at the end of the day, political or not political, government policies affect us massively. And when there's so much instability and so much uncertainty, and everyone's kicking off, you kind of think, okay, we can run this how we're running it, but we always need to have something in the forefront of our mind of what's going to change and what's going to happen and what policies might come in that really affect us, or what might happen to the economy that might really affect us, like something like a recession. We have to be ready for.
I was going to ask, is there any particular fears that you have around what might
I think something like a recession is very relevant. Very relevant, because if people's wallets are stretched, coffee and brunch is not going to be their priority. So I think for the business that we run, we are not an essential, we're not a commodity. We are an extra. I mean, I would argue that we are, but we're an extra and a luxury to people's lives. So we would be one of the first things to be dropped.
Do you want to know a very interesting fact?
Go on.
This is from all my research. Well, I was going to say, do you remember the Great Recession? Obviously you don't.
I was a bit younger back then. But
not the Great Recession, the Great Depression. Do you know what category of sales went up? I can't remember the exact statistic, don't come at me with statistics. But do you know what category of product increased in sales significantly compared to other products?
I would have thought it'd be something like alcohol, but is it coffee?
It's makeup.
Really?
Do you know why?
That is so interesting.
Do you know why?
Go on.
Because when people are in a situation of kind of despair, they look for some kind of escapism.
Easy escapes. That is so interesting. I like that fact a lot.
Yeah, there you go. So it's not something you do.
No.
Alcohol is like an obvious one. Yes. Why people buy more alcohol?
Escapism.
Escapism. Okay. But makeup was a big thing that actually increased in sales when people had no money.
Brunch and coffee is going to be people's escapism, hopefully.
I do think so. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because a coffee is £3.50.
Yeah.
I think.
But I think you go into the category of a treat a lot more than the daily coffee.
You do, yeah.
So I mean, I don't think there's any point or use in us sitting here and thinking, looking at our figures and thinking, oh, what if a recession happens? What's this gonna be, and how much is this our takings on this gonna go down? Because part of it is you just have to wait and see and adapt as best as you can to whatever's going on, because stuff's always going to change. You can't just sit here and run the same business model through anything and everything. But it's something that both of us, I think, always think about and always are kind of on the lookout for what we need to change and do different.
Do you know why it probably doesn't worry me as much as, not that it worries you,
Yeah.
But it probably doesn't concern me as much as it does you, because we entered this business in probably one of the most turbulent times that there was to run a business.
Yeah.
And we managed to navigate through that.
Yeah.
And I think whatever happens in the future, it would be hard pressed to match what we've already navigated.
Yeah.
So I kind of have confidence in us in the fact that we can. I think where a lot of businesses go wrong is they'll keep doing the same thing over and over again, even when the outside environment changes.
Yeah.
Whereas I think, especially at our young age, we're very quick to pay attention to what's going on and are able to adapt.
Agreed. I think we are. Yeah, I think we're good at adapting. I think we're good at pivoting, and I think we know when to do it. And I think that also does come because you were saying like some companies just keep running, doing the same thing they were doing again and again. But I think that comes from when you become detached from like knowing what's going on and the day to day and seeing it kind of happening. Whereas I think we're both very present and involved, and we know what's going on, and both in terms of like the cafes, but also in terms of the outside environment. I think we're good at spotting trends and seeing changes.
Yeah.
So,
and I think probably as well as that, if you've been running a business for 30 years, even if you're there every day, it's hard to imagine that business can pivot and do something else.
Yeah.
If you've been doing the same thing for 30 years.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I've got confidence in
back ourselves.
Yeah.
Like it. I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah, I think so as well.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
As always.
I think we should say at the start of this podcast, we were both like, oh, we're not mentally here.
Yeah.
Struggling today. I've really enjoyed this podcast. This has been one of my favourite episodes we've done recently.
Yeah.
I feel like I could have talked for ages.
I almost feel like we're better when we come up with stuff on the fly.
Agreed.
Right, podcast in 10 minutes. What do we want to talk about? Don't know. Not feeling it. Right, let's just come up with some topics and then just go with the flow.
Agreed.
It was quite good.
Yeah, I think we work better in that way.
Excellent.
Always a pleasure.
Also, this is our 4th podcast for the 4th week in a row.
Whoa! Put it there.
That's good.
That is really good.
It's been a goal of us for a long time to get more consistent with these podcasts.
And I think we've really committed to it now. And
it was tough this week as well because you couldn't come down to London. We usually record this much before. This is going to go out tomorrow?
Day after.
Day after tomorrow. We usually record it at least like a week in advance or so.
Yeah, but we're making it work. We're fitting it in when we can fit it in. Non-negotiable.
Right. You guys are important to us. All
the
these
fans.
The fans.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.